Now, what is posture? Posture is how you choose to show up in the world. Okay, now I've got to tell you, I've never been more excited than I am right now to share this message with all of you. And here's why. It's because I don't believe there is a topic more important than this one for empowering you to become limitless and get everything you want from your business. Okay, so I've shown up today with the intention of completely altering your reality. Okay, my goal is to ensure that you are a new person when this call is over. A new person. In fact, I was so committed to this intention. I literally spent all night while I was sleeping attempting to talk to each and every one of you listening to my voice right now in an alternate dimension. Now, I know for some of you that sounds crazy to hear. I'm here to tell you it feels crazy to say, but it's 100% true. If my wife was here on this call, she would confirm its truth. Now, some of you are going to literally leave this conversation today, and you are going to feel like you've already heard this. And that's because you have, because we were having a conversation together while you were sleeping last night. So I want you to trust that, and I want you to own that moving forward in your business. So if you're ready, then I'm ready. I want to encourage all of you to get present with me. Turn off your cell phone, shut down the computer windows, open your door, and if you've got people in your house, just yell out the door, "I'm present right now. Please don't interrupt me." Lock your door and come back to the computer. We're going to take 15 seconds to get present, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to completely alter everything that you know about becoming limitless in your business. So let's take 15 seconds to get present while I channel all of my power for you this morning. Okay, here we go. What we're talking about this morning is the Holy Grail for becoming limitless in getting everything you want from your business. Okay, now I've already told you the Holy Grail is posture. What is posture? Posture is how you show up in the world. You know, it reminds me of this scene from the movie Boiler Room. If you haven't seen the movie Boiler Room, go YouTube it when we get off and just YouTube Boiler Room scene, and you'll see the scene that I'm referring to. But there's this scene where Ben Affleck, he's in charge of training a bunch of young, wet behind the ears stockbrokers, wannabe stockbrokers. Okay, so Ben Affleck walks into this room, this big conference room. It's full of all these wannabe stockbrokers. You know, the room is packed. And this is Ben Affleck's first appearance into the room, into the world of these wannabe stockbrokers. And Ben Affleck calmly walks to the front of the room and he says, "If you become an employee of this firm, you will make your first $1 million in 3 years." Ben Affleck goes on to say, "There is no question as to whether you will become a millionaire working here. The only question is, how many times over?" Now, here's the takeaway from that scene, and I want to encourage you to go watch that scene, and you'll have to forgive some of the language in the scene, but try to get past that and see the scene for the value that it's offering you when it comes to posture. Here's the takeaway. What did Ben Affleck do in that scene? What he simply did was he changed the state of everyone in that room with his posture. Just pay attention to the ending of that scene right before Ben Affleck walks out the room. And the cameraman pans back to the room where all these wannabe stockbrokers are sitting there. and just pay attention to the state they are in, and contrast that, juxtapose that to the state they were in when Ben Affleck walked into the room. And ask yourself, what just happened? It's not about what Ben Affleck said so much as it was about the posture that he brought into that moment. So let me tell you a quick story. I do weekly meetings here in Denver for my prospects. And in those meetings, in every meeting, I say to my prospects at the very end, after I've gone through what this is about, after I've established the value proposition, I say this. I say, let me make something clear. People who work with me win. Period. End of story. And then I say, if you like winning, you're going to love working with me. And then in the next breath, I say, yes, I did say work. Let me make something crystal clear. If you are looking for get rich quick, you're not going to find it here. And then I make it clear to them, after I've already told them it's going to be a $20,000 investment, I make it crystal clear what I am selling you today, and these are my words, what I am selling you today is work. I'm selling you work. If that doesn't scare you, number one, and you like winning, then I consider the opportunity, this language is very important with my posture, I would consider the opportunity to let you work with us. Think about that for a second. I just basically told all of them that I would consider the opportunity to let you pay me $20,000 to work with me. The next step is for you to submit your application. And that's an example of posture. Just this last Monday night, when we were training, just this last Monday night, when I was training, I had a woman in the room. She was probably mid-30s. And when I had gotten through this part, the next step that I typically go through is I open it up for questions and I do some things to establish the right environment for that. And before I could even get to that part, this woman cuts me off and she literally blurts out, "Where do I sign up?" That can happen when you have the right posture. Okay, so I want to give you 5 key takeaways on posture. Okay, takeaway number 1. You have to start with your why. You have to start with your why. Okay, we've all heard this before. We've all heard this. Some of you heard this last night in a conversation we were having together in your sleep. But you have to start with why. Why is this so important? Your why is the wellspring of everything. It's the wellspring. What's a wellspring? A wellspring is an original and bountiful source. So in this case, your why is your original and bountiful source for your posture. This is your wellspring, okay? If you can't show up in your mind, if you can't show up with posture in your mind, in your own mind, how can you expect anyone else to show up in the moment that you're having with them? Whether that's in a meeting like I was in on Monday night, whether that's on a phone call talking to a prospect, whether that's sitting at a Starbucks talking to a prospect. If you can't lead yourself, how can you expect to lead anyone else in the moment? You've got to start with your why, and your why has to be strong enough to empower you with the courage to overcome your fear. You see, fear is a real thing that we all wrestle with, myself included, to this day. It's a real thing. Courage is what allows you to overcome fear. Okay, so when you're operating with courage, that doesn't mean there is a lack of fear in the moment. It means that you're able to overcome the fear in that moment because of your courage. And how do you put yourself in a position to do that? You show up in that moment with posture. In your own moments, right? You've got to win the moments in your own mind when you wake up in the morning before you ever utter a word to another human being. And you're going to be able to do that when your why is strong enough. When your why is so strong that the fear no longer matters. Okay, so takeaway number one is you have to start with your why. Now, if you want to go deeper on the science of that, we've all probably heard of the book Simon Sinek's Start With Why. I encourage you to go read that book, check it out. It's a game changer. Okay. Key takeaway number two: always start with a question. Always start with the question. You know, Mother Teresa once said that to live in the question will always give you more than an answer ever can. This is Mother Teresa. To live in the question will always offer you more value than an answer ever could. So I want to encourage you to make it a daily discipline of yours to live in the question. Okay? Specifically, and I'm reaching over here to grab my journal, is to open your journal and every morning write a question, a key question at the top of your journal. Okay? My key question at the top of my journal this morning has to do with building my real estate investing business. And the question is, what do I have to do today? What are the top 5 things I have to do today so that I can make 30 real estate offers this month to hit my $20,000 income goal this month? It's a very powerful question. So you have to identify your question. I want to give you 2 questions specifically to put in your journal if you're going to take this seriously. Okay, the first question is this: what comes first? This is a question you write at the top of the page of your journal. What comes first? Success or money? Write that question down. What comes first? Success or money? Question number 2. What can I do today to show up in the world with more posture? I challenge you to wrestle with that question and to step into that question and to find joy in the answers that the world is going to bring you with that question. Okay? Always start with the question. See, we have the tendency to want to speak statements more than we want to live in the question. And that's a posture challenge. That's a posture challenge. If you get around really refined people who have really grown in their maturity and their emotional intelligence, you will start to notice, if you step into a state of awareness around this topic, you'll start to notice those people ask more questions than making statements, because they've learned the power of living in the question. It's not some marketing or sales tactic, even though it's often taught as such. It's more of a tactic of posture. So that's number 2. Always start with the question. Number 3 is to make the decision. One of the reasons a lot of us aren't achieving the goals that we want to achieve in our business is because we simply haven't made the decision. Here's a decision I want you to make right now in this moment if you haven't made it already. The decision is that success always comes before the money. Success always, always, always comes before the money. You see, a lot of you are holding yourselves back because you're looking at your bank account and you're not seeing the number in your bank account or in your Renatus check that you want to see, and you're creating this posture inside your own mind that says, I'm not successful. And that's completely sabotaging everything you're trying to do in your business out in the world. And so I'm here to make it crystal clear to you today, if it needs to be made crystal clear, success always comes before the money. Always. I want to encourage you to see yourself as the president and the CEO of your own national marketing firm. You're the president and CEO. This is the posture I want to encourage you to show up with every day in your business. You are out in the world saving lives, quite literally. You are out in the world saving lives. Look at yourself as a superhero. Make the decision. Now, I'm here to tell you, this is not a luxury. I don't believe. This is my mindset. This is my posture in the world. It's not a luxury for me to wake up every morning and work from home. It's not a luxury. What is it? It's my duty. I don't have the luxury of living in my fear every day. And I experience fear every day because I'm swinging for the fences every day. I'm stretching myself every day. And that's bringing me face to face with fear every single day. But I don't have the luxury to sit in that. I don't have the luxury to play the victim in my own mind. I don't have the luxury to have to get it perfect before I take an action, before I pick up the phone and hear the dial tone on the other end of the line as I'm waiting for that next person to pick up, that I'm going to do my best with my posture to encourage to become my cash buyer, my real estate business, or a prospect in my marketing business. I don't have the luxury because I'm the president and CEO of my own national marketing firm, and I am out in the world saving lives. And there are lives that have to be saved. There are literally millions of people right now, as we are having this conversation with each other, there are millions of people right now who are looking for a solution to the challenges they're facing in their life. Millions. And a large percentage of those people are looking in the real estate investing industry. They're trying to find a solution. They're on Google right now, Googling real estate investing education. They're on Facebook in Facebook groups trying to find answers to learn how to become real estate investors. They are, your prospects, responding to bandit signs. They're showing up to your meetings throughout the week. And they are desperately hoping that they are going to find a solution. Okay, so you don't have the luxury to play the victim in your own mind that, you're not successful enough yet. You haven't made enough money yet. You don't know what to say. You're not smart enough. You weren't blessed with as much skill as Michael Huggins was. You don't have that luxury. You got to get over yourself. Here's why. If you don't save that person's life, when they show up to your event, or they answer your road sign, or they hit you up on a chat in Facebook, or they text you, if you don't save their life, and save their life meaning you help them see the light with regard to the solution, the real estate investing solution that we are offering here inside this community, do you think they're going to exit that moment with you and give up on their dream to start the real estate investing business? No, of course not. You'd be arrogant to think that. They're going to go find the solution somewhere else. And this is where your posture has to show up in the moment. And the moment starts in your mind. Before you ever get into that moment with the prospect, your posture is, we have the best training solution out there for the person who needs training. Bar none. Nobody can touch us for all of the reasons all of you know. And if you don't know those reasons with crystal clarity, then you've got to get clear on those reasons. That's going to help build your posture. But you've got to make the decision right now that success always comes before the money, and you are the president and CEO of a national marketing firm, and you are out in the world, you are saving lives, that is not a luxury. That is your duty. We've all heard of jury duty, right? You don't get that jury duty letter in the mail, and you don't get to look at it and go, gosh, got a lot going on in my business next week when this jury duty thing is. I'm just going to email the courthouse back and say, hey, appreciate the opportunity, but I'm not going to be able to make it. No, because it's your duty. When my military commander came to me back in 2006 and said, Captain White, you are going to Afghanistan for 12 years with the Army, and you're going to go live in a village, I didn't have the opportunity to say, oh, gosh, sir, thanks for the opportunity, but I was looking at my schedule, and, man, I got a lot going on over, the next 12 months, and I'm going to have to pass. Hey, please look me up the next time this opportunity is on the table. I didn't have that luxury because it was my duty to go do that. And it is your duty to get out in the world after this call today and to go save lives. Now, some of you are hearing me say that, and that puts you in a lot of tension. And that's awesome. The tension is there for a purpose. The tension is there to help you transform into the best version of yourself. So I want to encourage you to start showing up more fully present and alive in that tension and seeing that tension as a gift from God to help you transform into the person you need to be and deserve to be, to show up in these moments with the right posture so that you can, wake up every day and know that you have the ability to go save lives. But it all starts with making the decision. Okay. The fourth takeaway here is to act as if. Remember, we're talking about posture. If you go watch that boiler room scene with Ben Affleck, you'll see he acts as if. So when you show up in the moment, you have to show up acting as if you are the president and CEO of your national marketing firm, and you are here to save lives. Because if you don't save this prospect's life, they're going out in the world and they're gonna go spend money with some program that's incomplete. We've got a guy here in Denver that spent $43,000 with a program back in January that's incomplete, and now he's working with us because he saw how complete our program is. And why is that? It's because Michael Huggins showed up in that moment when this person needed his life saved. You got to be a light on the hill for people. This is part of the posture I want you to envision as you're showing up in these moments, is to be a light on the hill for people. This is only going to happen if you believe that success comes before the money. Be a light on the hill for people. Understand that you are selling hope. You are selling hope. There's no more powerful force on the planet than hope, when you think about it. And you can go out into the world with hope, with your pockets full of hope, and your mind full of hope, and your mouth full of hope, and you can go out in the world and you can sell hope from the mountaintops as a light on top of that hill, because you know what's behind you. You know all of the resources that are behind you. You know that if you save that prospect's life, if you show up in that moment with so much posture, that prospect is just like, oh my gosh, thank you, Jesus. I found the answer, and they say yes, and they invest 20 grand. You can sleep good at night because you've got a really powerful weapon sitting behind you, and all of the instructors and the resources and the training and the support and everything. There's not a better place your prospect could be than right here with us. But that's not going to happen unless you choose to be a light on the hill for people and you show up in the world with posture. You have to make them believe. That's what posture is. You have to make them believe. And how do you do that? You act as if. The last and fifth takeaway here that I want to give you is to be relentless. I want to encourage you to have this be your mantra over the next 12 months, all through 2019. Be relentless. Be relentless. I wanted to encourage you to meditate on what that word means and put that question at the top of your journal what does it look like for me to be more relentless today? You see, you can't be relentless and live in fear at the same time. When you think about it, you can't honor your commitment to be relentless and then not pick up the phone to call a prospect, or not go out, for 4 hours in the middle of the night like Michael Higgins does and put up 500 bandit signs. Like, it's impossible. It's impossible to truly be relentless and to allow fear to hold you back. Now, there's always going to be fear. So if you're someone who's trying to eliminate fear from your life, stop trying, because it's not possible. Instead, start choosing to be relentless. If you pursue it relentlessly, you will get what you want. You can write that down in your journal. If you pursue it relentlessly, you will get what you want. What are you pursuing relentlessly? A lot of things. But one of the core things is you're pursuing showing up in the moments in your life that you're presented with posture. It's not so much about the words that you say, it's about your posture. Be relentless, adapt and overcome. This is how we train Navy SEALs. This is how we train Army Rangers. This is how we train Marines. And this is how we train Renatus prospects and team members in Denver, Colorado. To adapt and overcome, the mantra is to be relentless. Let me close with a story and a question. Let me close with a quick story and a question, and then I'll get you that bonus, okay? So there was a time in my life, this was back in 2008. I was working with two business partners. We were building a local marketing company, working with small business owners, dentists, doctors, chiropractors, orthopedic surgeons, etc. And our expertise was online marketing. And there was another company here in Denver that knew about our expertise, and they didn't have that expertise. And this was a bigger company, a more established company, a more prosperous company. And so they wanted to acquire us. And so they invited us to a meeting at their big, fancy, cool office to talk about acquiring us. We knew we were going into this meeting to have this conversation. And so we're sitting around this conference room table, and I want you to imagine this big room, like it's one of these urban offices where the ceilings are like 30 feet tall, and this conference room table, you could probably get 30 people around this conference room table, like 15 people on each side, one at the end. I mean, it's a big conference room table. It's me and my two business partners at one end of the conference room table. I'm sitting on one side of the table. My other business partner is sitting at the very end, and then my second business partner is on the other side. So that's our little group down here. And then kind of to the middle, to the other end, which is kind of weird how this setup happened, but this is where everyone sat when they walked in the room. The main owner is sitting like 2 or 3 chairs down from me. And then on the other side of the table is one of his partners. There's 4 of them. And at the end of the table is the third business partner, and then the fourth partner was on a speakerphone out of the country up in Canada. And so this conversation started, and for the first 10, 15 minutes of the conversation, I was sitting there listening. I was listening and I was the junior person in the room. My two business partners were like the seasoned, experienced ones. And so I was, giving the floor to them to have this conversation as I was listening. And I was listening. My business partner is talking to the main business partner over here, kind of through me. So like their words, their energy is passing right in front of my face. And I'm sitting there and I'm feeling very, very uneasy. Something didn't feel right. And about 15 minutes into this conversation, the owner next to me, he looks at me and he goes, "Chris," he goes, you haven't said anything. He's like, "Anything you want to say?" And I looked at him, and in that moment, the only thing I knew to do in that moment was to make the decision to honor the posture that I was experiencing internally. And I said, his name was Mike. And I said, "Mike," I was like, "I'm sitting here and my heart is beating through my chest right now. Now, when I said that to him, you could see he's like, what? And I was like, Mike, my heart's beating through my chest right now. And I said, in my experience over the last 34 years of my life, what I've learned is that when that's happening, there's something that I need to say. And he was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, go ahead, of course. What do you have to say? And in that moment, my intuition said to me, get up on that conference room table and you tell them what is on your heart. In that moment. Now, without thinking about it, I just made the decision. I didn't have time. I just made the decision to be relentless and to act as if, and I pushed myself back from this table, and I climbed up onto this conference room table, and I'm standing on top of this conference room table. And I don't even remember exactly what I said, but I start to I'm speaking over everybody in the room, and I'm talking about my vision for the type of people I want to work with. I made the decision in my mind that success always comes before the money. You see, this company was making way more money than we were. But I was already successful. I already brought my posture into the room. I already knew my why. I already made the decision to be relentless. Relentless with what I stand for. Relentless with what I project in the world. Relentless with the fact that I'm a light on the hill for people, and I believe that this guy in particular needed some light in his life based on what the heck he was saying in this conversation with my business partner that wasn't making me feel very, very good and had my heart racing. I climb up on this table and I start to cast this vision about what I see for my company. It wasn't yet our company. So I got up on this table to cast the vision for my company and how we were going to go out into the market to people that I was going to work with. And this is what I'm saying. The people that I'm going to work with are going out into the Denver market, and we are going to create impact, and we are going to change lives in the business community, yada, yada, yada. And I'm casting this vision. And then I said, at the end of my statement, I said, and at the end of the day, I want to work with people who have the courage to get up on their desk every day with me and see this vision through. And then I was done. Silence. And I'm standing on top of this conference room table. And do you know what happened in that moment? I can still feel it like it was yesterday. Absolutely nothing happened. Crickets. Crickets. Now you can imagine how I was feeling. Crickets. And so what else could you do in that moment? I climbed back down off the conference room table. I sat back in my seat. I kept my mouth shut for the rest of the meeting. And we left. We're walking out. My business partners were high-fiving me when we were walking out. They thought it was pretty cool. They said, Chris, what do you think? I said, it's not right. And they said, we agree. The point is, you can only control what you can control. You can't control how people respond to you. You can't control other people's actions, but you can control your posture. And so my encouragement for you in sharing that story with you is to always look for the story. And that's all I was doing. I'd already trained myself on this mindset. I'm always looking for the story. Because nobody can take your story from you, and your story is the most powerful thing you have. So someday, my 2-year-old daughter is going to come to me, and she's going to be afraid, or she's going to have some goal that she's going to want to pursue, and she's going to want to ask my advice. And I want to be able to sit down and say, Vivian, let me tell you a story. And I want to tell her that story that I just told you. And so my question to you is, what's the story? You know, when I'm on my deathbed someday, I have this conversation with my wife all the time when we're facing things that maybe are uncomfortable or challenging us or a little risky. I'll say, when I'm on my deathbed someday, do I want to be sitting there going, man, I'm so glad I didn't get up on that conference room table and make a fool of myself. Man, I'm so glad I played it safe. No. I don't want to play it safe on the way to my deathbed. And so I want to encourage you to look for the story. The story is your power. The story that you create today, when you get off this call and tomorrow, those stories are going to empower your posture. They're going to empower your posture. I made the decision on Tuesday that I was going to build a wholesaling business, and I was going to find 7 to 10 cash buyers in Kansas City to work with me. I should say I made the decision last week, and I told myself by the end of day Tuesday, I would get that done. And on Monday night, I was super frustrated because I hadn't done it, and I committed to this. My posture, this is the posture thing. The posture in my brain was I made a commitment to myself to get that done, and I believe that success always comes before the money. And so I woke up Tuesday morning, and I was on the phones all day, stepping into my fear, sounding like an idiot on the phone, and I got 15 people in Kansas City that said, I want to be a cash buyer on your list. Send me your deal. Why? Because I showed up on those calls, and I acted as if. And I was relentless with all the people that hung up the phone on me and called me names and did all these things that made me uncomfortable. All I did was I made the decision. And it's all about creating that story. In my mind, I said, you know what? I don't care if everyone I talk to today hangs up on me. I'm creating a story that I know is going to allow me to be a light on the hill for people, to sell hope to people, to show up with posture in moments that I'm going to have in the future with people who are considering joining my real estate investing business. And I made the decision to create the story. I couldn't control the result. I can only control the action. So the question I'll leave you with is this, and then I'll tell you about the bonus real quickly. My question for you is this, to write in your journal: what would have happened had Superman never gotten out of the phone booth? What would have happened had Superman never gotten out of the phone booth? You know what would have happened? Absolutely freaking nothing would have happened. And you know what? What a tragedy that would have been, because the greatest superhero of all time, his story would have been erased from the history books. And what I'm here to encourage all of you to believe is that you have a powerful, 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 powerful story. And it's time for you to stop playing it safe like everyone else in the world is, hiding in the corner of your phone booth. It's time to stop doing that. It's time to open that phone booth up and get out of that phone booth and start being a light on the hill to people. Shine your light bright. People are looking for people with posture to show up in moments in their life and lead them. I promise you. People will do what you tell them to do. I promise you. People will do what you tell them to do. They will do it when you show up with posture. I promise you. And when you believe it's your duty to save people who are looking for real estate investing education, because you know of all the crap that's out there that's going to cause them to waste their money and move them farther away from the hope that they're holding on to, that they can be successful, then you realize you have the duty to show up in that moment and tell them what to do. Now, you may be on this call going, yeah, that sounds great. I don't know what that even means or how to do that. It doesn't matter right now. None of that matters right now. What matters right now is that you make the decision that success comes before the money, and that you are going to be a light on the hill for people, and you are going to show up with relentless abandon out in the marketplace, which starts first in your own thinking. That's all that you have to decide right now in this moment. And I promise you that the universe, that God is conspiring to help you win, but it's not going to happen until you first make the decision. And one of the main reasons many of you are not achieving the goals you want to achieve is because you have not yet made the decision, because you're afraid to make the decision, because you don't know all of the how. How do I do that? How do I do this? How do I do that? It doesn't matter. And the reason you're not making that decision is because you haven't anchored your why. Your why isn't strong enough. Your why doesn't bring tears to your eyes every time you think about it. And so you're holding yourself back. You're sabotaging your own success. And you're looking outside of yourself for all the answers, for the next tactic on how to build a website or run an ad or what do I got to say exactly to get the process to say it. That's all outside of you. And I'm telling you The answer is inside. You've got to go inside and just make the decision. That's the action step leaving here today. Make the decision. Okay, now, here's my bonus. I'm in the process of putting together a best year ever marketing campaign that's going to be built around using testimonials. What's a testimonial? A testimonial is nothing more than an opportunity to show up in front of somebody with posture. Okay? I'm an expert on teaching people how to create a testimonial that's going to put you in a position to show up in the moment with the right posture. And unfortunately, most people have zero clue about how to do a testimonial. Most people are creating endorsements instead of testimonials. And those are two different things. And this isn't a training on how to do that. What I've done is I put that training together. And if you're willing to help me win, I'm willing to help you win. And here's how. If you send me an email to Chris, C-H-R-I-S, at roadrunnerhomeinvestors.com, Chris at roadrunnerhomeinvestors, plural.com, send me an email and just put in the subject line, testimonial project, something about testimonial. I will send you the guidance. What you're going to do is you're going to shoot your testimonial video based on exactly what I tell you to do in this guidance. You're going to send it back to me. When you do that, I'm going to send you the marketing campaign that I've created that I actually use to get that $80,000 per month award I got last year at the event when I launched my business. This thing right here. It's the same marketing strategy I use. It's built around the power of testimonials. I'm going to teach you that marketing strategy, and I'm going to share all the testimonials with you. All the testimonials I get, I'm going to put them in a spreadsheet, and I'm going to share them with you, and I'm going to show you the marketing strategy I'm going to use. I'm going to coach you through that strategy, and I'm going to put you in a position to go out into the world with rock star status posture so that you can be a light on the hill for people, and you can follow through on what I believe is your duty to save people who are looking to be saved. Fair enough? Chris, C-H-R-I-S, at roadrunnerhomeinvestors.com. Plural, roadrunnerhomeinvestors.com. Just send me an email. Tell me you want to be part of the project, and I'll send you the guidance, and we'll go out there, and we will create the best 2019, the best 12 months you've ever had in your business. And we're going to create a lot of stories in the process. So, whew, that's what I got. I hope this has been valuable to all of you. I appreciate you all. I love you all, not in a weird way. I love you all. And I'll close with this last thought. This is my mantra for you to take with you out into the world as the foundation of everything I just shared with you. This is the foundational thought. Build from this. Here it is. Be hard to kill, easy to love, impossible to forget. Be hard to kill. That's a posture thing in your mind. Don't let yourself get taken out in your mind. It is a war out there. Make no mistake about it. Real estate is a big boys and girls game. And if you haven't woken up to that reality, it's time to wake up now. Be hard to kill. Be hard to kill. People want to be around people who are hard to kill. You got to be mentally tough. Be hard to kill, easy to love. How are you easy to love? You show empathy with people. You step into their pain. You're that light that shows up, and you empathize with them, and you connect the dots for them in that pain. You're easy to love. My goal for you is the goal that I'm trying to live with in my life, and that is it is impossible to be offended. This is something I struggle with. Those of you who know me probably know this. I struggle with being offended. When you are easy to love, you live in a state where it's impossible to be offended. I think Bob Schneider is like the master genius at that. He's my standard for that. Be impossible to be offended. Be hard to kill. Be easy to love. Be impossible to forget. How are you impossible to forget? You get up on that conference room table. You show up with posture. You act as if. You understand success always comes before the money. You believe that you're worthy. And you choose every day with everything you do and it starts with your thinking, you choose to be relentless. Be hard to kill, easy to love, impossible to forget. My friends, I love you all, not in a weird way. Thank you for the opportunity to join your meeting here today. Let's go out there and crush it. That's all I got. I don't know if I'm closing this call or is someone else coming out here.
Chris, just want to say thanks. This has been wonderful. It is impossible to forget when you get that mental image of Chris up on a boardroom table in your mind. And I look forward to applying these things, getting to know you better in the future. And thank you very much for your time this morning.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate you.
Go out and slay, everybody.